All right, now let's create your contest brief. The brief and the rules are the most important part of your contest. This is where you educate the creators on what your product is and what they should be doing in their content. And I want to emphasize, the simpler and more straightforward your brief is, the better the content will be on the other side. So let's take a look at my project overview here. I explain what PuffCount is. PuffCount is an application that helps people quit vaping. And I explain why users love PuffCount. I also included my download links for iOS and Android. It's very important that you include any links to your products so that the creators can easily access and show your product in their content. And then down here in the rules, I have a couple rules that I always add in. Content must be in English. Content must be similar in style to the inspiration content from the brief. We'll get to the inspiration content on the next video. And then I also have a call to action here where I encourage the users to show the home screen for at least 3 seconds. I know that this converts well for my brand, so you can add in your own custom call to actions. And you can also include anything that the creators should not mention, right? So I don't want creators to mention any specific brand of vape. What you really don't want to do in your overview and in your brief is list out all of the crazy features and give the creators way too much information about your product. Because if the creators start listing off all the features of your app in their content, it's not going to perform well because that's going to feel like an ad. We want our content to feel organic and we want it to be creative and we want there to be a subtle call to action in that content because that type of content performs the best organically on social media. It's very important to understand what specific part of your product is going to entice viewers to take action and swipe off of TikTok and look at your product. For me, I know that it is because you can track how many times you vape every single day. It's not because of the calendar feature. It's not because of the sharing feature. It's not because you can add your friends. It's not because anything else. It's this one core feature, right? It's very important in your brief to understand the purpose of this content. The purpose of this content is to drive a click. The purpose is not to explain your entire product in specific details because again, that is not going to perform very well organically on TikTok. The purpose of this TikTok video is to drive a click to your product, and then you can let your product do all the explaining and the how-tos. If you follow this framework and you keep your brief simple, your contest will perform better. Just to add a little bit more here and help you build out your contest overview, what's also very important is that you guide the creators into what type of content is going to convert well for your brand, right? So you can give them content ideas and topics here while keeping it very short and simple. And you kind of almost need to think about this backwards, right? You need to understand what content does well, gets views, and also converts for your brand. And you can do this through market research. And then you kind of work backwards and give those creators these ideas, right? So for example, one of the pieces of content that did very well for my brand was this 18-second video where I took apart a vape and I showed people what was inside the vape. And then only at the very end did I show the call to action. So we're going to watch this video really quick. So here I'm showing what's inside a vape. And then at the end, a quick call to action. This app helps you quit. Right? That piece of content performed so well for me because it didn't look like an ad. It looked like an educational or entertaining piece of content where I drew in my target audience. I drew in the audience who is interested in vaping or maybe has vaped in the past and they're interested in knowing what's inside, right? This is also a very shareable piece of content. This got so many shares, 476,000 likes. And it wasn't a sales pitch. And I didn't really talk about my app that much. It was just one quick call to action, right? This is the best performing content. You need to figure out what this is for your brand and guide the creators to get there when they create the content for your contest. This is so important to understand. If you can crack this, your contest will perform much better. So understand what works for your brand and guide the creators to that ideal content for you.